Just promise not to drink the goo.
Oh my
If
God.
you get stuck in an airport, Expedia is not coming for you.
No.
Cause every trip has an ending.
If you
And every company sucks somehow. Whiskey, wine, or blue milk. Getting wasted on this flight right now. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club of two. We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
And ruining vacations.
Hey, everybody, welcome back.
Woo!
We're back, Bryan. We're back.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Shaney's back. Tell some friends. I guess. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you don't want to tell anybody about us. I don't know. It'd be nice if you would, though.
It would be really awesome if you would. But you know what? Our Facebook group is growing. Our Twitter is growing. So thank you to all the new Plotaholics out there. We appreciate you.
Right off the top, let's remind everybody, wherever you're watching us, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet.
Absolutely.
Subscribe to notifications on Facebook so you know exactly when we go live every time. Also, let's not forget the main event of the summer, Bryan.
The Summer of Cusack.
The Summer of Cusack started off yesterday, actually,
with high fidelity.
So those of you who are subscribed to the Plotaholics podcast, make sure that you go check out the high fidelity episode. You know, I think that I spent a lot of time with that
you
episode.
Really did. You put a lot into that. That's your baby, man. If Boys
right.
is my baby, then High Fidelity was definitely yours.
Yeah, for sure. And I was thinking that this is the one that I think is close to being on par with Boys in the Hood in terms of the subject matter that we were able to mine from it.
Absolutely.
A lot of really good conversations in that High Fidelity podcast about masculinity and what it means to be a man and what it means to be a good person. So make sure you get out there and check that out. And coming in 2 weeks, One Crazy Summer. I just watched it.
Favorite summer movie.
I just watched it, and Bryan, I don't even know, man. I don't.
Shane messages me after he watches it and goes, "That movie was nuts," and I'm like, "I know, right?"
It was pretty wild, man. It took me a minute to sort of get my head around the world that I was living in, but anyway, we'll deal with that in a couple of weeks.
Say that it was one crazy experience.
I would, yeah. I kept saying that. Like I was watching it with a group of people, and they were like, "What is happening in this movie?" And I was like, "Well, it is summer, and it is crazy." So,
now, who's your favorite character in One Crazy Summer?
That's tough.
There were so many characters in that movie.
Honestly, my favorite. Well, we'll save all of that for the podcast.
Okay,
we don't want to. We've been gone from the live show for 2 weeks, Bryan. So we has been wildly behind on.
We are. It's been rough, man. I'm telling you, man. I've been having the shakes, and so I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back safely. It's been an interesting adventure, and I'm sure we're going to hear you rant about that on the podcast. I can't wait for that. Oh my God.
At some point, I just feel like every time I was on the phone with Expedia or listening to someone on the phone with Expedia, I was just like this.
Oh God. I almost spit my water all over my screen. Hey, Bryan, why did you just suddenly be off the Plotaholics while my laptop exploded?
Hey, if you are watching the live broadcast, make sure that you chime in with comments and let us know what you've been into for the last couple of weeks.
Interact.
Absolutely. So I will. I'll kick us off here with something that kind of blew my mind while I was overseas, because even though I was vacationing, it's very hard, as you know, to turn your brain off from a project like this. And so I was steady reading articles and sending them to Bryan. And one of the things that stood out to me was the ineptitude of the DC streaming service.
Oh my God, they are a mess. They are an absolute clusterfuck of I don't know what we're doing. And what's crazy, Shane, is that you and I have both agreed. We agreed on one of the first one of the first points in film and television that we agreed on was that DC had absolutely no clue what the hell they were doing on the film side, but they had it all together on the television side.
Right.
And they just made us both wrong.
Well, I don't know, because on the television side, they're good, but on the streaming side, because you have to sort of consider those two different things, you know?
Okay, all right.
Like
all
their television, their like CW television properties are fine, but they don't know what to do.
Kind of. Well, we'll talk. Right. We'll talk a little bit more about Arrow late. We'll talk about Arrow on a different episode.
But this, while I was away, Swamp Thing both premiered and got canceled,
all in the same day.
Right.
That is amazing. If two guys, a girl, and a pizza parlor can last for like a season and a half, you would think Swamp Thing could at least make it 2 episodes.
I just, and because I don't have DC Universe, I suppose they're running the rest of the season, but what's
the point?
Stimulus right? Yeah, I mean, what? As a potential consumer, like, why would I even sign up for this thing, knowing that this is going to be gone?
Yeah, it's like, so you're not going to put anything more behind this, and you've already just canceled the hell out of it. So what the hell?
I don't know why they didn't just team up with another network. If they wanted to do grittier stuff like Titans and Doom Patrol, I don't know why they didn't just team up with Showtime or an HBO.
Well, it makes you wonder about the franchise of Swamp Thing if your own parent company doesn't even want to keep you on the screen. Because, I mean, the only really thing that we had of Swamp Thing that I recall, besides the comics, was the movies. The 2 80s films, the one with Adrienne Barbeau and the second one with Heather Locklear.
Yeah, the only thing I really remember about Swamp Thing from my youth was that for some reason I inexplicably had a Swamp Thing action figure.
Oh, nice.
I never saw the show or any of that stuff. I guess I just liked him. Or I think it was this thing where I was really into Batman and my parents just got in the mode of just buying me action figures, like from that line or whatever.
Right.
And so I just remember that Swamp Thing had a detachable hand. He would you could pull his hand out. It was attached by a string, and then if you squeeze his legs together, it would like retract back into his body.
I remember that toy.
Yeah. That was
he's a good character, though. I feel really bad because the Swamp Thing character from the comics is a great character. And I mean, he's practically immortal. And I mean, hell, if I recall correctly, the only couple of individuals in the DC universe that Superman fears besides Darkseid and Doomsday is Martian Manhunter and Swamp Thing.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, we made the point, and this was before we even knew that DC Universe was in so much trouble, because reports are coming out that it's in trouble. And not just that they canceled Swamp Thing, but that the service itself is in trouble. This from comicbook.com of June 6th says that it is supposedly being reevaluated. Now, what all that means, I don't know, but it seems this is from comicbook.com. It seems the streaming landscape may be changing for several superheroes at DC Entertainment. In the wake of reports confirming the cancellation of Swamp Thing, a piece by Deadline suggests the DC Universe platform is currently being reevaluated by executives.
Well, you know what that could mean? You know what that could mean, though? Is that Warner Brothers is getting ready to have their own streaming service, because everybody's getting ready to have their own streaming service.
Right.
So probably what they're just going to do is just absorb DC into Warner Brothers. So basically they're reevaluating how the network, how the DC service is running.
Right.
So they can absorb it into the Warner Brothers thing. I think their major misstep was, this is sort of like the mission statement of DC at this point, at least in terms of the film and television and streaming side of things. And it is always cart before horse. They
gave us a Justice League film before they gave us origin films for all those characters. Now they give us a streaming site that who knows if this streaming site is even going to make it, if it's even sustainable to make it until Warner Brothers launches its thing.
Yeah, well, and you're absolutely, yeah, you're right. We touched on this.
It's not cheap to evaluate to establish this kind of service. So you've wasted a lot of money.
You gotta set up your servers, and I mean, then you gotta advertise it, and that's before you even get into production. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and you know the content of DC Universe isn't terrible, but at this point, if you're not into Titans or Doom Patrol, then it's essentially just like the DC Criterion collection.
Yeah,
because you have all these old series and everything, and you know what does it cost? Do you remember?
I'm not 100%. I think it's in the teens. It's like at least 12. It's basically around the same cost as Netflix is, and I mean,
yeah, which is real dumb.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have enough. At least Disney is being smart with Disney Plus. They're going to start at $7, and then probably within a year that's going to jump.
Yeah,
but still, and I think that Warner Brothers and specifically DC, I think that they're getting, because you figure DC ruled the comic world for a long time, and then post Vietnam, Marvel started winning a little bit, but DC always had the big three of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Problem is that Marvel in the 80s and coming into the 90s started to hammer DC to the point where DC was no longer the top dog. And I think now they're trying so hard to catch up. I don't want to say they're desperate because they're still turning a profit.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, Marvel did it, so we have to hurry up and do it too. It's like,
So let me fill you in on pricing for DC Universe.
All right, lay it on me. I'm never going to get it.
This might blow your mind. And I actually think I knew this because a few months ago they ran a special. It was for the, I don't know, a millionth anniversary of Batman, right? And you could sign up for a month of DC Universe for like nothing, like 99 cents or something, right? And I did that just so I could sort of check it out. Now, after I did that, it was, if I didn't cancel, it was going to automatically renew, right? And so that's how I know that this is the case. DC Universe streaming service will cost $74.99 a year.
Ooh.
And this is the caveat. This is where they lost it. With an option to pay $7.99 a month once the service is fully launched. How do you not what? So like when this thing first started, the only thing you could do was pay $75 a year. There was no month-to-month option.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm all set on that. Thanks. Wow. Talk about balls. Disney could do that and get away with it because Disney has so much back catalog and just so much stuff that wouldn't be a big deal. But DC, it's like, seriously, DC and Warner Brothers.
And name me another service that comes out of the gate with the most expensive price point and then works backward. Like it's always the opposite, right?
You know what? Before I make my next point, I want to shout out to Brooke, Anita, Mike, and Joe that are hanging out in the comments. I can't really look into what you guys are saying because I'll end up hearing both broadcasts in my head. I'll hear us live in my headphones. I don't know
why my comments aren't coming through on this end. So,
but you know what? I am checking on Facebook. So if you guys leave comments, I'm checking them. But
let me see what I can do.
And that's absolutely ridiculous. And it's the fact that Brooke Snyder brings up a great point. I think they're just getting desperate. I think DC is really getting desperate. Their storylines are starting to fall apart in the comic world, from what I'm understanding. They can't get a strong foothold. In the film division, because today, and this is something we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Today was supposed to be when Justice League 2 hit the theaters. So DC is just in shambles. They're falling apart. And if they're not careful, either Image Comics is going to buy them out, or Marvel will just be like, yoink. Because
I read an article that DC Comics is essentially the only thing that's keeping DC afloat. Like that, the comics are still performing pretty well, and it's just sort of the other side of the house that's fallen apart. But I don't know,
and that's sad because right now comic book industry is still in a major boom. It was like once the 90s, post Vietnam War, comic books really just continued to grow. However, they're not so major that they can keep an entire company afloat. Maybe I'm wrong. I am not a comic aficionado like I used to be. But if your entertainment division is only being kept afloat because of your comic book end of things, you're in danger, man.
It's not a good look. So let's go ahead and pivot to that other news that you were talking about. Well, not news really, but just that.
Oh, poor Justice. Here's the thing. I wanted to love Justice League. I really did. Ezra Miller is such a talented actor. Jason Momoa, that's my man crush. I want to be I want to be his Khaleesi. Gal Gadot, I want to be her snoo partner. Batfleck, I loved Batfleck. I thought Ben Affleck was probably like the only great thing about Batman versus Superman, because I love that gritty, dark Arkham Asylum style Batman. And I don't remember the guy's name who played Cyborg, and I don't really feel like looking it up. But I mean, he wasn't the goofball Cyborg that people have gotten used to with Teen Titans Go. He actually really dug into the old Cyborg, so I really enjoyed it, and I loved Henry Cavill as Superman. But this movie was so rushed, and just let's just throw all this shit against the wall and whatever sticks, because Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman, yeah.
So my problem with the DC EU rollout was Zack Snyder and his
Zack.
So if you look at Justice League, and Justice League is a good example of this. Batman, we saw this already in Batman versus Superman, but every character he writes is the same character.
Yeah. Well, Zack Snyder is not all. I mean, I've had issue with Zack Snyder since the Dawn of the Dead remake. Okay. So I've had a long-standing issue with Zack Snyder. But you're right. Yeah. Every character is pretty much the same. They're just so, I mean, what the problem is, and you know, we're getting tons of traffic on this subject right now as it stands. The whole thing with Justice League is that they wanted to be Avengers, and they dropped the ball. We didn't have origin stories. You didn't make us care about these characters. And I mean, your everyday comic fan, I mean, your standard comic fan and your nerd knows these characters, but your average moviegoer has zero connection to these characters. Like you'll get the older folks that are like, oh, I remember the Christopher Reeve Superman series and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, but they want to do so much and be so convoluted, and they can't even get out of their own way. And it's really a shame, because the Avengers stock has skyrocketed thanks to the MCU, because back in the day, who gave a shit about the Avengers, man? It was all about the X-Men and then the Justice League. You know, the Avengers, who the hell cared? And then all of a sudden, Marvel Studios took the time to build these characters and make us care. So now it's like Avengers all the way, and F the Justice League.
Yeah, you know, and oh man, when you think about pop culture history and which characters are the biggest deal characters in pop culture from this group, and that is a Marvel Universe and DC Universe, the biggest characters, I would argue, in this order: Superman, Batman, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Wolverine at number 4.
Right. And so DC already has two of the most popular, successful names at their disposal. They're coming off of one of the most successful superhero trilogies in history with The Dark Knight, and they can't, and they put the wrong dude in charge. That's really it. You know, the other thing that I saw over our break was that there's a rumor. A lot of things we're talking about today are rumors.
Yeah.
But rumor has it, to quote Adele, that they are courting James Gunn to be their Kevin Feige.
See. Now at this point, these are desperation moves.
Right. And here's the problem, right? Is that they should have already had a Kevin Feige.
Exactly. You should have had, if you should have had somebody
you need an architect
planner
from the jump.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And they didn't have an architect. And man, and they were surprised when the house fell down when they didn't have any walls inside, you know?
Right. And it's I think what DC thought was, well, we're DC. Superman, Batman. We can make it work on that alone. No, you can't.
Right. And now even the DC cinematic universe is fracturing off into all kinds of different directions.
The Arrowverse is fracturing off. I mean, I checked out an Arrow 2 years ago. And apparently, from what I understand, this past season, they painted themselves into a corner, which is another reason kind of why Arrow is ending. Plus, Stephen Amell wants out. And honestly, I'm glad that they still have their animated universe, because between the animated universe and the comics and their overall merchandising, that's the only thing that's going to keep them alive.
Yeah, and honestly, in terms of DC, and I think that this is something that we've talked about before as well, their best bet at this stage is to just ride with the standalone films. And if they're going to come back to the Justice League at some point, don't do it for a while. Just because you've got some stuff working for you with Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa and some of these people.
And that's really all they have working for them
at this point. Yeah, for sure.
Ezra Miller is gone. Yeah. Cavill is gone. Well, Robert Pattinson as Batman, I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen with that. But I mean, well, the only other thing that they really have besides the anticipation of that is Joaquin Phoenix's Joker,
which is a standalone, which doesn't feed into the greater universe.
God, because you don't need. I mean, as much as I like a shared universe, you don't need it all the time.
Yeah. So I hope everyone out there will join me in pouring one out for Justice League 2, which may never happen.
This is for my homies. This is for my homies. Well. See you when I get there in that gangster lane, Sorry, I had to go back to the early 90s on you on that one.
That's okay, man. You know who has a real good gangster lane, though?
Who has that? Oh, he does. He does. Look at him. That look goes, you get my O face. Oh,
right.
Oh.
So over again the break, some more rumors, this time from the Marvel side of the house.
Yeah,
Fantastic Four casting rumors. Now, Brian,
keep in mind these are only rumors. None of this has been confirmed, not even close. However,
well, and the other thing that we need to keep in mind is that we are probably 4 years at least from a Fantastic Four film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Because of the cycle that Marvel operates on. So
right.
We might get teases and post-credit scenes and things like that, but in terms of
concrete.
Right, in terms of a Fantastic Four film. Now, just this week, there was a tease that Spider-Man
as well.
Right. Now, this week, there was a tease that Spider-Man 4 would maybe have something to do with Fantastic Four. But again, we're still two movies from that.
We're only on Spider-Man 2 right now.
Right.
I mean, honestly, the thing is, and, for those who watch the show and whatever, you guys know that I cite John Campea a lot. I'm a big fan of John Campea and the John Campea show. The man is really, really knowledgeable.
And you should listen to John Campea after you listen to the Plotaholics.
Absolutely. You must listen to John Campea after the Plotaholics. But
never before.
Never ever before. Never. But I will say this: they're just rumors right now, And if you start seeing things around, the one thing that we won't do is that we're not going to sit here and be rumor starters. We'll speculate in the rumor, but remember,
and we'll get excited about some of the rumors.
Yeah, we'll get excited about the rumors, but at the end of the day, unless you can follow those stories to credible sources, they're just rumors. So
and this is one of those rumors that I can get pretty excited about. To be honest
absolutely.
With you.
I'm pumped about it.
Well, and it's something that we all, you know what? It's one of those fan castings that we all assumed was too good to be true. This is perfect, but they'll never do this,
I think they might, though. I think
they might.
And
that rumor is
John Krasinski. Am I saying his name right? Jim Halpert from The Office.
Yeah, Jim Halpert, this guy.
The man himself, Jim Halpert. Right.
And I want some of those Jim Halpert looks at the smirks.
I can't even do them.
Honestly, I think the Fantastic Four movie should just be a mockumentary set in the space station.
With Jim. Well, the whole point of it, the reason why we're bringing up Jim from The Office is that these people are rumoring that that they want Jim Halpert, John Krasinski, to be Reed Richards,
and his wife,
Emily Blunt, to be Sue Storm.
Yeah,
and
I would be all the way there for it, sure.
Absolutely. And I could see the whole first movie just being the mockumentary of them and him and
I want it to be just like The Office, right?
Oh, absolutely. Where Ben Grimm is actually acting like Michael Scott.
Yeah, and honestly, let's get Steve Carell in there to play Dr. Doom.
Oh my God, Victor, why are you doing this? Jim. I mean, Reed. I feel that this is necessary.
I want it to be a shot-for-shot remake of Diversity Day on the space station.
Yes.
With Michael Scott as Victor Doom and everybody else there as well, which would mean BJ Novak would play the Human Torch.
Yeah, BJ Novak is the Human Torch,
and Stanley as the Thing.
Oh God, he won't even be doing any real astronaut work. He's just gonna be doing his crossword puzzles.
Right, but he's like in all the rocks, and he's just like sitting back there with a Sudoku.
Stanley, Ben, we need your help on this. Yep, I'm out on today.
Right. So, but no, the actual rumor that I heard for The Thing is The Rock. Dwayne Johnson coming in for to be voice actor for The Thing.
I think that he should be because here's the thing: Ben Grimm in the original comic, Ben Grimm was a big, strong badass from Yancey Street. So
in my preparations for this, I was looking back at when I was trying to find a suitable image for the Fantastic Four, I came across a lot of the old, I guess 90s, early 2000s Fantastic Four images. Yeah. And oh my God, if that old thing isn't like the 1999 version of Sonic, it is weird. It's weird.
Did you see any of the old pictures of the 60s Fantastic Four?
I came across some of those too.
Sue Storm's forehead is like a 10 head. I don't know why they had to draw that woman's head so huge. I'm serious. Her head looks like she's bald. Wow. Oh my God. It looks like she has the Hulk Hogan skullet going. It's just a damn shame. And meanwhile, Namor the Submariner is trying to start all kinds of crap trying to marry her. I'm like, what? You think you're going to get some head? See what I did there?
Yeah. So the one that I haven't heard anything about is the Human Torch.
Yeah, well, the Human Torch, you have to understand, he's he's the youngest member of the team. When they go into space, I believe he was only 17 when they went.
And this is a conversation that we've had many times, going back to our Marvel bonus episode with Joe Compton. Who's going to play this guy? He's the hardest one to cast.
Joe Compton's going to be the Human Torch.
And the reason that Human Torch is so hard to cast is I think you have to get an unknown to play him.
Absolutely.
Get somebody young enough.
I agree. Sort of like what Marvel did with Tom Holland.
Right. That's who I was thinking. I was like, Tom Holland would be perfect if he wasn't doing this other thing.
Yeah, if he wasn't already Spider-Man.
So.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the new Fantastic Four. I'm excited for the new X-Men. And as a matter of fact, quick segue into that, Jason Momoa is saying that he wants to be the new Wolverine.
Yeah, I did. I saw that. And that could be quite interesting.
Yeah, and I remember if someone tried to go, he doesn't fit the character. Neither did Hugh Jackman. Okay,
it's true.
Wolverine is 5'3", 200 pounds. Hugh Jackman is like 6'2".
Yeah, but let's be honest. Like Jason Momoa is just trying to get off a sinking ship.
Yeah, I would. Honestly, right. I would rather see Jason Momoa as Sabretooth.
It could be interesting.
Personally,
I would honestly like to see Jason Momoa as a villain.
Absolutely.
Like as a I don't know, like a Kraven the Hunter.
Oh yes. Yeah, but he can't do that. He's not going to be able to do the Russian thing though. So you would have to retcon Kraven like crazy.
Yeah, that's fair. He would be fun though.
It would be fun. See, here's the thing though, is that and even talking about The Rock as Ben Grimm and all that, you're also going to run into these pseudo-fascist wannabe, He-Man woman hating white power douchebags. You can't replace our white characters with them colored their characters. Settle down, Mitch O'Connell. Okay,
right.
Get the right people for the job. Well, does that mean I could get a blonde hair, blue eyed guy to be Black Panther? No.
Right.
Naughty. Now, what I would love for them to do is I want to see the Defenders properly introduced into the MCU. I feel that they did not get the respect that they deserved in their introduction into the MCU with the Netflix series.
Yeah.
But they did amazing. Mike Coulter did great. Kristen Ritter is Jessica Jones to me. Charlie Cox is Daredevil. I even like Finn Jones as Danny Rand. I wish that they would have let them be in the MCU. I would have loved to have seen Luke Cage battling it out against Thanos' forces. That would have
wouldn't that be cool in Endgame if those portals opened up and you saw those folks walk through it, right?
Oh, I would be like, you know what? Y'all really lost now. Because then the Punisher would show up and he'd just be murking cats.
Did you catch, this is we're swinging for the fences on this one, but that there was a Howard the Duck cameo in Endgame?
Yes, there was. I saw some of those stills, and I'll tell you something right now. Nobody laughs at a master of quack fu, Shane.
Hey, man, I love Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck is great.
All right.
I love the 80s movie. I do.
Yeah, no, love it. All right, we are going to, let's see, we'll use this little bit to pivot. I want to talk, let's stay on topic, I guess, on movies and whatnot.
All right, let's do it.
I wanted to
You're absolutely right, by the way.
Do I know?
Mike Fadia says that Vincent D'Onofrio kills it as Kingpin. Absolutely right. Private Gomer Pyle himself, Vincent D'Onofrio, is amazing as Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. And you know what? I would love to see him reintroduced and, brought into the MCU as well. I think that he needs to be brought in as well.
While we were away, we got a trailer and an announcement for Dr. Sleep.
This has been a long time coming.
Yeah, man. And I don't know that you saw the trailer. Did you watch it?
I did not see the trailer yet, unfortunately.
It is pretty slick, man. I wish I could play it, but I can't. But man, it just looks very the shots that are supposed to be reminiscent of The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Dr. Sleep is a sequel to The Shining. It follows the young kid. Yeah, it follows Danny as an adult who goes back. Now, the director insists that this is its own thing. It's not going to follow in the footsteps too much, more than it has to, but still, pretty excited about it. Love The Shining.
Oh man, The Shining is a masterpiece. Even though even though you really want to go after Kubrick and how he terrorized what is her name? Not Shelley Long. You know who I mean.
Right. Yeah. No, I know. Is it not her? Is it not Shelley Long?
No, Shelley Long is from Cheers, bro. Hold on.
No, but they have a similar sort of like off-putting face. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Am I in trouble?
I hope not.
Like the chick in The Shining has like
Shelley Duvall. Shelley Duvall.
The chick in The Shining is the most basic chick in movies. And she was very good.
Plain Jane, but she was amazing. And a lot of it was Stanley Kubrick terrorizing her, man. I mean, after The Shining, she didn't even really want to do movies anymore. But she did amazing.
Yeah. And, that cast was excellent. And
absolutely. Yeah. And that movie still creeps me out. I even loved in Ready Player One when they went into the Shining world. I've never seen The Shining. Is it really scary?
I think that this could be good.
Isn't Ewan McGregor playing Danny this time around?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's true.
That is awesome. I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
So the next little bit of news that I wanted to talk about is that, fresh off of his slamming streaming media, Steven Spielberg.
Oh, Stevie.
Will be developing a horror series that is going to go. I have to assume it's going to Apple TV because he just signed a deal with them, right?
Yeah. I do believe you are correct. Yeah. Sorry, I started to look up the cast and everything of Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, but yeah. So the Hollywood Reporter has announced what's called Spielberg After Dark, which is going to be dirty. Right. It feels like Alfred Hitchcock Presents sort of thing, because I think it's going to be an anthology series. But what's interesting, and this is why I wanted to talk about it, not just because it's Spielberg and not just because he's a hypocrite, but because and not just because he ruins everything that he once made great, but because it's kind of an interesting thought. This is a horror franchise or a horror series that will disappear from the streaming service during daylight hours. So you can only watch it at night, which is a gimmick, clearly, but kind of a cool gimmick.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. I'd be interested because, I loved Amazing Stories as a kid. He was involved in that, and I loved it. Amazing Stories was one of my favorite shows when I was a child. And I really loved, it wasn't Twilight Zone. It was, what was it called? It was not. Yeah, it was a Twilight. Yeah, Twilight Zone. I enjoyed Twilight Zone, the movie, and but I loved Amazing Stories. So I'm very, very interested to see how this is going to work.
Yeah. Now, if it's on Apple TV only, then fuck them. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, because I've already decided, Shane. This is what I'm going with. I'm sticking with Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and I'm doing Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And I'm probably, matter of fact, I'm gonna make use of IMDb TV.
Oh.
Yeah, IMDb has their own streaming service now for movies and television.
Well, that's interesting. Free. I didn't know that.
But it's free.
So what's on there? Is it ad supported?
It will have ads. Mm-hmm. You can subscribe to have less ads or no ads, but it is free. And one of the shows that they have on there is the original Dallas with Larry Hackman and Patrick Duffy. All the seasons of the original Dallas, all the seasons of Quantum Leap.
Okay.
And so far, I only had a few minutes to really look, but it looks really cool. And even if it is ad supported, it's going to be less ads than if you were watching regular TV.
Yeah.
So matter of fact, Blade Runner is on there. Donnie Darko is on there. Terminator is on there.
I was just thinking about Donnie Darko the other night. We should really do that on the podcast.
Oh, Donnie Darko would be a great movie to do on the podcast because there's so many interpretations that you can run with that. But the whole point of it is, I think it's a cool idea. The fact that you can't watch it during the day, it really adds that whole, I'm too afraid to watch this at night. It makes it even better. It's
sort of the whole thing about restaurants having very limited hours. Like if that idea of exclusivity, like you got to get it while you can.
Right.
And I think that's a cool gimmick.
Right. I agree 100%.
Especially if you're like in the middle of a hardcore binge and you go to bed and you try to wake up the next day and pick it up again and it's not there.
Nope, you got to wait until tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
So now you got to stay the frig up.
Yeah. And now here's another television announcement that I'm excited about. I know you're excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And that is
la 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 la. One of the greatest, most successful spin-offs in animated television history. Daria, the spin-off of Beavis and Butthead, is getting its own spin-off with, oh my goodness, this is so great. And I am so excited.
That casting is also pretty inspired.
Oh,
and she's also executive producing, right?
Yes, she is. As while she's doing her stint on Blackish.
Mm-hmm. which is another excellent show.
Mm-hmm. Tracy Ellis Ross, the daughter of the fantastic Diana Ross,
right?
And and it's going to be titled Jodie, and it's based on the only black female character on Daria.
Yeah, and clearly she's older and a professional. She's working in the tech sector, I think.
Yeah, I do believe that's what it is. And, a lot of people, me especially, I'm very excited to see, are her and Mac, her boyfriend Mac, still together? Is Daria going to show up? I mean, this is exciting. I'm very, very excited. Sorry, I knocked my old monitor over. But yeah, I'm really pumped for this because, I love Daria, and one of the selling points for me to get Hulu way back when was Daria was on there.
Hell yeah. Even though at that point they couldn't have the original music on it. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. I remember that, and it was really upsetting. But then when that finally worked itself out, and I think when MTV started streaming their own stuff, that got lifted.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that, it always sort of reminds me of the Wonder Years, because for years, the Wonder Years could not be put on DVD because they couldn't get the music licensing settled.
Right. And the music was a huge part of the Wonder Years. It was a major part of the Wonder Years.
And so
I just did a performance.
And it was so good.
You got to see it.
I did get to see it.
Yeah, I'll tell you something right now. With a little help from my friends, to this day, every time I hear that song, I want to watch The Wonder Years.
Yeah, that show is so great.
It truly is. As a matter of fact, I'm going to double check on Netflix to see if it's still on there. If it
was there for a while. And that's what I was going to say, that when the streaming thing started, this was so unprecedented that they kind of got away with putting The Wonder Years up there because there was nothing established for like how to account for that, because is Netflix a network or is it a DVD? You know what I mean? Like
exactly. And that's the best part. And that was so great. And
yeah, because if you take that soundtrack off of that show, it is not the same.
It truly is not. And I mean, there are a lot of shows that you can get away with it, but you can't with the Wonder Years. You really can't.
Like if in episode 1, when Kevin goes to see Winnie in the forest after her mother has died in Vietnam, if When a Man Loves a Woman doesn't start playing,
it doesn't fit.
It's not right, man.
You don't get the same emotional hook.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God.
I think Winnie Cooper was probably my first love.
Oh man, Winnie Cooper. And you know what, man? She's a mathematician, bro.
Yeah. She's smart as shit and super hot still.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, she's only a couple of years older than me, so I mean, so there is no still, because then you have to start saying that about me. So, but no, I mean, I think it's great. I'm very excited about the Daria, the spinoff, and I hope Daria makes. I mean, I still wish that they would actually do a Daria live action film. I actually fell for the fan made trailer of the Daria.
With Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, I fell for that. And I'm still sort of half looking for it.
Yeah, I mean, she's the only one that could do it, I think.
I agree.
She's awesome. And we'll talk a little bit about her coming up in our coming attractions of the show. So stick around for that. Let's see. I wanted to touch on, I think this is our last bit of news before we get into a couple of other segments. I wanted to touch on some E3 news.
Keanu Reeves is God. Keanu, I love you, Keanu.
I think that if there was a doubt in anyone's mind whether or not this year belongs to that man,
oh my God,
we're in the middle of a Keanu-sance.
We truly are, and this is the second one he's had.
Yeah,
he got 2. Most people don't even get 1. He got 2, and then he's Renaissance and Alex Winter.
I'm telling you, man, this guy is all over the place right now, and really, and he's not doing anything other than just being Keanu.
Did you watch Always Be My Maybe yet?
I did no, I have not.
Oh my God, you have to. You have to. Once the show is over,
I'll do it tonight.
You have to, because and then you have to listen to the song through the end, because I actually went on iTunes and bought the song. Best believe I punched Keanu Reeves in better than any scene you can see in Speed. Yeah. I can't even remember the rest, but it is so awesome. So
the big news from E3 then is that one of the big news is that Keanu is going to play lead in
Cyberpunk 2077.
Cyberpunk 2077, yeah.
And I already told Sharon I have to get it. Keanu!
I mean, it's a pretty big deal. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and just because we usually talk about superheroes and everything, is the clunky, awkward rollout of the Avengers video game.
Oh man, see, I thought it looked fun, but yeah, these are last gen. Because honestly, we're getting ready to come up on the next generation of games, and they don't look terrible, but it's almost like they tried to take from the MCU films, but they didn't have licensing to use the likenesses, so they had to hurry up and scramble them up so that they.
It's like MCU. It's like
DC Universe does the MCU.
And that's sort of like, I think the problem that a lot of people had with it was that most of these characters in the pop culture mainstream mindset have only ever looked like the people in the MCU.
Right. And
so when there was word of an Avengers video game coming out, everybody got pumped about it, and then they didn't look or sound like those people.
But they're not. But they're not supposed.
No, they're not.
And you want to talk about the shock of it all? I recently got back to playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2.
Yeah.
And Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, for those that don't know, if you haven't played it, I suggest if you have Xbox, definitely get it because it's worth it. It still holds up today. But they go with the Civil War storyline, the Civil War comic storyline. But yeah, no one, like Black Widow speaks with a Russian accent.
Right.
Captain America does not sound like Chris Evans. Tony Stark does not sound like Robert Downey Jr. Hell,
Deadpool does not sound like he's from Australia.
No, Deadpool doesn't sound like Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
Guess what? These people weren't always these characters.
Well, and what's interesting is that when Spider-Man came out for PS4 last year, nobody complained that wasn't Tom Holland.
No, they didn't.
But I think that just plays to the idea that we've seen the Spider-Man character played by a lot of people.
We're also really spoiled as fans. Yeah, we're spoiled.
I've got an article coming up on Plotaholics.com about that. So that was all I wanted for E3, was just those two things. Let's see.
I'm still planning on trying. I hope that the Avengers game comes out on Xbox, because I am gonna.
It is.
And I like because I want it, because
I was disappointed to hear that it's not going to be an open world game, but.
Yeah, that's upsetting. But there's only but so much you can really do in an open world setting as a superhero. You can't do it with an ensemble. It worked for Spider-Man, but I don't think it can really work for a whole lot of others, because they tried it on N64 with Superman, and that was disastrous.
Yeah, well, man, I don't know. The Arkham Knight games are so good.
Yeah, they are. They really are. All right, so you can do it with Batman as well.
But again, but those are not ensembles necessarily. Not in a multiplayer sense, right?
Right.
You play multiple characters, but it's a single player game. So
well, I think the only games that, like, ensemble type games that you can really play in an open world is like those Lego Avengers games. Like, those are just fun.
And those, well, I guess they are technically an open world, but it's just like it's a fake open world, you know. Like,
yeah, you're not wrong.
Like you have the world map that you can pretty much do anything on, but like it's still like you have to go into the level to like play the storyline.
Right.
But anyway, it is time for the a segment called Plotaholics Mini Reviews.
Midnight Reviews. Out. Mini Reviews.
This week on Mini Reviews, we are talking about the hit ?
That's funny. You made a funny hit. I went to go see Dark Phoenix.
Well, you were about the only one.
Well, no, Sharon was with me.
Oh, well, I mean, this movie opened, its opening weekend was 14 million. That is abysmal for a superhero movie.
Seriously. That's abysmal for most movies. Although I shouldn't trash talk because Shaft only took in 8.5 million, so I'm not gonna shit talk. But I mean, I did go to see this movie. I went in with
it's been around this long, like, and this is the finale for it to only.
Because Fox sucks. I'm sorry, Fox sucks when it comes to the. You want to talk about DC being a dumpster fire with their film, with their superhero franchise? Fox is a majorly dumpster fire when it comes to their films. I mean, all right, the original X-Men, you have to give it respect because if it wasn't for the original X-Men, we wouldn't have superhero films as we know it. Much respect. Is it a great film? Not really, but it was great for the time and it helped get us started.
Well, it got us over the hump of like the late 90s.
Right. Blade helped get us there. X-Men took us over the top.
Yeah, and then the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films.
And Sam Raimi's Spider-Man really showed us that superhero movies could become big-time blockbusters.
Yeah.
X2, you know what? I cannot say anything bad about X2 because X2 was great. I enjoyed the Wolverine Berserker moment, even though it was watered down for PG-13. It was great. Alan Cummings was great as Nightcrawler. Iceman was great. The only thing that I hate about that movie was Rogue. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, we're not even going to talk about The Last Stand because X-Men Origins, Wolverine, why?
Logan
was the shit. I just rewatched Logan last night. Logan is a great film. It's because it's even with the R rating, it's very poetic.
You know, the X-Men series has had, it's like the most roller coastery of all franchises.
Up, down, up, down, up.
Yeah,
down.
because like I don't know that I can think of any other franchise that has weathered that many downs to see another up.
You're right. I mean, because well, the part of their biggest problem is that they just take continuity and fist it. That they're terrible with continuity. And then they tried to exactly. That's the face of the continuity when Fox gets a hold of it. And yes. And they tried to fix it. Yeah. Well, they tried to fix it with Days of Future with well, then they tried to go back in time and do First Class, which McAvoy and Fassbender were amazing. You know, if Stewart, Ian McClendon, and Hugh Jackman are, you know, the 1, 2, 3 home runs of casting, then McAvoy and Fassbender are 4 and 5,
right,
by far. And then it was great. And then you get Days of Futures Past, and it's like, oh my God, they finally figured this out. Thank you, God. And then we got Apocalypse, and then Sonic was sad again. Yeah, that was my look when I went to go see Apocalypse. So then when Dark Phoenix was announced, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go see it just because I want to see the dumpster fire ending. Now, don't get me wrong. Love Sophie Turner. she's amazing. She is.
Well, it goes back to this point that we continue to make, that fully capable actors or performers get cast in movies with terrible scripts or directors or both.
Yes. And the biggest mistake Fox made was letting a first-time director do this film. And
how are you going to give a first-time director the finale?
I don't get it. I mean, hold on. I'm
not letting me direct Endgame. And while I would have been awesome, I would not have. I wouldn't have been that.
That's like allowing me to direct John Wick.
Right.
All right, listen. So John Wick, while you're shooting people, we're gonna just have a bunch of titties all over the wall. Why? Why not? Titty wall.
John Wick 4. Titty wall.
It's a badass wall. That's the best wall of all time. But no, man. And you know what? And Mike Ferrier brings up a great point, is that the Fox had so many things that they could have done with this franchise. Gambit was so many people's favorite character, and all we got was Taylor Kirch, whatever.
Well, and they kept like rumoring a Gambit standalone film, and it just never came through.
Yeah, but then they always threw these Easter eggs of Gambit in there as well, and nothing happened. And it was almost like Fox had all these characters, they didn't know what to do with anything. And they were just like, you know what? So Dark Phoenix, Sophie Turner was, I want to say this right now, Sophie Turner really carries this film. Coming off her amazing character arc, and I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says about Game of Thrones. The Sansa Stark character arc was absolutely amazing. I loved how she grew. Sophie Turner did an amazing job, and Sophie Turner is great in this movie as Jean Grey, the Dark Phoenix.
It's also just kind of like a real life badass. I love her.
She really is, man. And I'll tell you something right now, man. That Jonas brother don't deserve her.
No,
he don't deserve her.
She like showed up on it was either like the NHL playoffs or the NBA playoffs, and like she was in attendance, and the camera found her, and like she just like chugged her drink, like she was drinking a beer or whatever, just like on camera, like glug, 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 glug.
She's a badass, man.
She's awesome, man.
She ain't just some little dainty ass freaking British chick, man. That's a badass Cockney.
Absolutely. So and when I was in Europe, I was walking through Paris, and there, like, I promise you, about every 100 feet, there was another poster for Dark Phoenix on the street.
Yeah, because they're trying, man. They're trying. They're trying so hard.
And I thought my initial thought was, if they are trying this hard, this movie is shitty.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something right now, man. This movie, it wasn't great, and it wasn't the shits. It's better than Apocalypse. It's better than Last Stand. But it's just so middle of the road that it just makes it terrible.
It sounds like, and I'm going to guess what your shot rating is for this movie.
Go ahead and guess.
I have not seen it, but I'm going to guess that you're giving it a flat middle of the road, the first ever 3-shot rating.
You would be absolutely correct. This is just so meh. Like, I had to take shots. I would have to drink just to get through the mediocrity, but it's not so terrible. It's not so bad that I have to be completely wasted.
Yeah.
The special effects are great. Sophie Turner is great. James McAvoy, he's always good.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender is always good, but once again,
some people that are just easy to watch. Like, their charisma can take them a long way.
Right, but the problem is once again, this is a classic case of talented performers, lackluster script, lackluster direction.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it's over. I'm glad
now professionals can actually get a hold of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like Marvel, come get your kids.
Right.
Come get your babies. Right. Because we've done. Now, but the thing is that I do want to say is that the X-Men movies will always hold a special place with me, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are to make these assessments.
Right.
Hugh Jackman, he's Wolverine until someone can do it different. Hugh Jackman is going to forever be to Wolverine what Michael Keaton will forever be to Batman.
Right.
And Sophie Turner totally dominates any performance that Famke Janssen has done as Jean Grey. Sophie Turner is a great Jean Grey. I feel like Sophie Turner got the character. She was able to understand the character. Once again, missed the mark completely on Cyclops. I hate that they do that because he's such an amazing character.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy he's Olympic level strength and speed. He's never been the strongest of the X-Men, but he's sort of like Captain America, where he just has that determination and drive. He's the mutant Captain America.
Right. One of my favorite X-Men is Nightcrawler.
And
I've just never gotten down with like the character design or what they've done really in the film.
They've had a lot of issue with really bringing him to life properly. I mean, Alan Cummings
these too. Like, how did these? Like,
well, here's my thing. Nicholas Hoult, I never liked his Beast. I would have preferred them stick with Kelsey Grammer as Beast because I think Kelsey Grammer brought him to life with what we saw in the '90s cartoon.
Yeah.
As far as Nightcrawler, see, he had some decent action in this film, but it's like too little too late. I don't care anymore. And that's sad because Nightcrawler is such a pivotal character, and I love his dynamic with Wolverine that they had in the 80s. How they were like, they were like an odd couple in the 80s, which made them so good. And Nightcrawler and Wolverine really helped each other get over.
Yeah.
But
so 3 shots from Bryan 10 on
three shots from me on Dark Phoenix. And honestly, this is a film. Wait for it to come out on home media.
Yeah.
Don't go to the theater. Don't waste your time.
If you did want to go to the theater and see it, you might be able to see it by yourself.
Yeah, most likely, because I went on the opening weekend and there was next to nobody there. I went to go see it in IMAX.
Wow.
And I'll tell you something. And there was not a lot of people in there at all.
That's crazy.
Like, honestly, if you're going to go to the movies, you know what? If you're going to go to the movies to go see a Marvel property, why don't you all get together and go see Endgame again so we can beat Avatar? Because we're about 40 million. We're about 40 million behind.
It's over.
No, we can still do it.
All right, it's time for our final segment of the day.
Opening this weekend. What's coming to film?
Well, that was a very different interpretation than what we normally get, but nice.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Well, I like to keep everyone guessing, Shane.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, this weekend, Bryan, if you're going to the cinema, then you're probably going to see, and you've already seen everything that's there, then you're probably going to see one of these 2 movies.
Child's Play or Toy Story? Which one are you going to see?
Oh, God. Honestly, I may not go see either one of them.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm Toy Story'd out. After the 3rd one, I was done.
Toy Story 4 debuts on Rotten Tomato with a 100% score.
Well, that doesn't shock me. Toy Story is an amazing series, but I
don't need another one. I don't need another one.
I didn't need a 3rd one. I was happy with 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm done with Toy Story. Get out of here.
Yeah, no more for you. And Child's Play, you know what? I love Mark Hamill. I love him very much, but he's not going to be enough to bring me out to go see AI
and Audrey Plaza. And I don't care about this movie at all.
Not at all. If I do go to the movies, I'm going to go see Shaft, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's it. Otherwise, I'm going to wait until the first weekend in July, and I'm going to go see Far From Home.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm not going.
Far From Home really might be the only other film that I see in theaters this summer. Although I will go see Godzilla this week because I haven't gotten to see it yet.
We'll see. I'm going to go see Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
I will go see Hobbs and Shaw. The Duder is going to be coming into town on July 27th. And I said, we can either go see Hobbs and Shaw. He goes, can we go see Spider-Man? Yes, we can. If you want to see Spider-Man instead of Hobbs and Shaw, we can do both. But like I said, the only other movie besides Far From Home that I'm planning on seeing is Hobbs and Shaw. And after that, I'm done for this summer.
Yeah, the only thing that I really am potentially excited for is maybe a clueless parent that says, I'll need 4 tickets to the toy movie. And they end up taking their kids to see Child's Play. That's what I want.
Stevie, Becky, Veronica, Milton.
I want tickets to the movie with the doll in it.
All right, there you go. Oh my God!
Right, that's what I want to see for sure.
So awesome.
Well, everybody, that's about it for us for today.
Well, there's one last thing that I do want to.
Yeah, what you got?
You've got your article that you're doing for this week. I'm working on an article based around the Ava DuVernay miniseries on Netflix, When They See Us. If you haven't seen it yet, I strongly, if you're really, if you want to see, if you can handle true life, true crime, and when I say true crime, I mean the way the criminal justice system is corrupt, I would say watch this. If it's going to be very, very emotional, because I know I watched episodes 1 and 2 and I had to stop. I was in tears, full tears and snot bubbles, watching this series. In case you've been living under a rock, you don't know, it tells the 4-part miniseries tells the story of the Central Park 5, 4 young black men and a young Puerto Rican male who were unjustly charged in the rape and near murder of a white jogger. And this was huge news back in the late 80s, early 90s. I was only 10 years old at the time, 9 years old at the time when this happened. My mother did everything she could to keep me away from finding out about it. And this is a story, one of the more recent stories of just absolute social and legal injustice in this country. And, you know, our current sitting president, I won't say his name, you know, at that time spent $85,000 to take out newspaper ads calling for these young men, the youngest one 14, the oldest one 16, going on 17, to be killed. And it's really difficult, but it's very important in the social commentary. I'm actually writing a article about that, just my basic feelings on it, and check it out if you feel that you can. If you can't, it's understandable. I've spoken to a lot of people that said, I just can't do it.
Yeah, so I fully intend on watching that series.
It's going to upset you. It's going to anger you.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
And Felicity Huffman, as if she wasn't involved in this fraud scheme in universities, you would still hate the holy hell out of her.
I do want to see that. Tonight, of course, I will be watching Always Call Me Maybe, or Always Be My Maybe. Sorry.
You must watch Always Be My Maybe. You have
that is my homework for the night. You will be able to catch an article from me that is much less important and much less socially conscious. I will be talking about the storytelling on the new Bruce Springsteen album at some point this week.
That is great. And you know what? Kudos to the boss, man. This is his last. Is this his last one? Is this gonna be
I mean, he's never going to say it's his last one, but he turned 70 this year. Wow. And he and the Western Stars is the name of the album, has garnered immense critical praise. It's probably his most critically successful album in a number of years.
Yeah.
And it's different, very different. But you can look for that article out of me sometime this week, and you can look for Bryan's article
this week
as well. Yeah, sometime this week. Let's see. Everybody, again, follow us everywhere, at Plotaholics, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram coming soon. We are on YouTube, etc. You can find all of that information at www.plotaholics.com. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast, because I don't know that you've heard yet or not, but it is the summer of Cusack.
Yep. High Fidelity is available now to be downloaded, listened to at your leisure. Our next episode is going to be One Crazy Summer, which Shane has watched. And
crazy.
It's crazy with John Cusack. Demi Moore, Bobcat Goldthwait, a young Curtis Armstrong, a.k.a. Metatron from Supernaturals in that one. And then Gross Point Blank, where the third Plotaholic himself, Joe Compton, Joe I Pee My Pants Compton, will be with us on Gross Point Blank. That is going to be amazing. And then, Shane, we go to Hot Tub Time Machine.
Which, honestly, if there's one thing in this list that's like, one of these things is not like the others.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah.
It truly is. And then we finish off with the iconic Say Anything.
So if you are not a fan of John Cusack or romantic comedies, then this is not going to be a good run of episodes for you.
No, this is not the summer for you, but it is the summer for Cusack.
Yeah, that's right.
John,
we're in the middle of a Keanu-sance, but I also like to think that we're in the middle of a John-a-sance.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, John
and really not in real life, just in the Plotaholics universe.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, once we finish with the summer of Cusack, which I really don't want to end, we're going to be back to just, you know what I think we might do, Shane? And this is, just totally off the top of my head here. We should probably do a poll.
Oh,
maybe like see, hey guys, what do you want to, maybe give people a chance to throw some ideas of what they want us to do.
I'm down with that.
And then maybe do a poll. I mean, granted, we're free to say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do whatever mood strikes us.
Well, maybe we'll just choose 4 things from 4 different genres.
Oh, I like that.
And then we'll let them choose from there, But after the summer of Cusack ends, we will be building up to our Halloween, our October.
Yes. And that's going to be great. And that's going to be great.
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff coming up. And if you want to keep up with everything, like I said earlier, you got to make sure to follow us, subscribe to updates, et cetera, et cetera.
Pass this on to your friends, guys.
Yeah, the Plotaholics podcast is available on all of your favorite podcatcher sites: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Stitcher, etc.
iTunes, and we're growing. We're not going anywhere, so you might as well just give in.
Yeah, and not to pull a DC and put the cart too far before the horse, but Plotaholics merch coming soon.
Oh.
Well, I think that's gonna just about do it for us for this episode of Plotaholics Live. Bryan, anything else you got?
Be excellent to each other. Yes,
don't be Expedia.
That's right.
I am Shane Wilson.
And I am Bryan Tan. And
we're the Plotaholics.
Yes,
and we'll see you again real soon. We're the Plotaholics, a breakfast club. We're ripping plots apart for you.